how does comparison, especially on social media, damage teens' self-worth?
So I think teenagers were much more happier in the 80s than now, because a lot of them have a lot to deal with in terms of constantly asking themselves, am I good enough? Social media would also, would foster cyberbullying, comparison. So you begin to compare yourself with another person. So you begin to have things like, am I good enough? And look at what this person is wearing. Why can't I have it? You look as if this teenager is so lucky, traveling everywhere with her parents or his parents. And look at me, I've not even gone past my bus stop. So all those things, it brings the image right for you. And so it makes you begin to second guess yourself, begin to doubt yourself. At one time, somebody will be better than you. And the issue is not even being somebody even better than you. The issue is you being better than what you were yesterday.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this IG Live, and thank you so much for joining us. And today's conversation is very, very important because I've realized over time, like in my course of practice as a family physician, and even from personal experiences with people, I've realized that a lot of adults struggle with low self-esteem, if only things had been cut away earlier, right? And so that is why we are here to educate parents, teenagers, and also educators on how to build self-esteem. And I have here a very, very formidable force, an expert in teenagers ministry, and then our goal is to build healthy teenagers. So I'm going to talk about her, but before then, can you say hello, Dr. Kenny, to our guests, and tell us a bit about yourself? Although I'm still going to read your biography.
Okay. So my name is Dr. Kenny Ayoade. I am a visionary of Teensaflame Global, where we mentor, inspire, educate teenagers as they navigate themselves into adulthood. And we play a lot of support for them, emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, as they navigate, their way, with tough social pressures we are having now. So there's so much we do at the background just to make sure that we raise holistic teenagers who are sound, who are sound in their faith as well. Yeah, so that's about me. I'm also a family physician.
Yes. Yeah, so I've known Dr. Kenny Ayoade way back, and she's really been a great resource. I've been following her on our social media handles, and I've kind of also collaborated with her on a platform to speak with teenagers, and she's really a great resource, and I'm so glad to have her here today, and I believe she's going to be very impactful this afternoon or evening or night, wherever you are, any part of the world. So let me just talk briefly about her biography. She's a primary care physician, could be called general practitioner, depending on where you're practicing or where you're located, could be called family physician. She's a teen mentor, she's a relationship or life coach, and a convener of Teensaflame Summit Lagos. Wow, this is I follow her every year, and I see that this summit is becoming so big. Like last year they did the 10 years, and it's so big. A lot of teenagers all over Lagos, all over Nigeria, they come together. They have a very informative session, training and hands-on experiences, life skills. Very innovative program that she does, and she's been on it for about 10 years. So she's a team lead of Teensaflame's foundation, whose vision is to prepare, enlighten, educate, mentor, and help adolescents cope with various physiology, psychological, social, physical, and emotional changes as they transit to adulthood. Because you don't just become an adult, like it's a life process, right? And we've seen a lot of adults struggle. If only they had this kind of resources to equip them. So she believes with proper mentoring and guidance, young people will learn to make better and well-informed choices that will influence and an excellent living and a brighter future. Dr. Kenny is passionate about young people, especially teenagers. She offers professional counseling, technical support tools, teens health advice, coaching to schools, parents of teens, and other teens or youth cooperative initiatives. She's a host of several virtual and physical mentoring and coaching programs. She's also an author, a blogger, health educator, and a writer. One of our life-changing daily devotional or write-up is Hello Greatness. She hosts that, is like she just does write-up and video of that almost like every day of the week, and is fast becoming a widely read and followed online program. This has been a very helpful resource for many. Dr. Kenny is well sought after speaker and trainer at conferences, seminars, and boot camps. Our vision is to raise a tribe of young people who have deep relationship with God and a balanced, healthy mindset, thus making informed decisions, thereby influencing their world through discovering of their identities and purpose in life. So you see why she's here today, because we kind of have some things in common, which is like building a wholesome person. She is happily married and blessed with lovely children. So our viewers, can you just do some love and wave, and just let's try to welcome and encourage our guest speaker for today. Child is turning an adult. There's nothing else I could do. So because of that, I'm a failure. By the time we're able to like retrace it, we're able to realize that growing up, this child, the only way they felt loved because they were adopted was to always constantly like do something. And how does comparison, especially on social media, damage teens' self-worth?
We know that we cannot beat AI to it. I saw the AI, I saw the AI version of myself. I was like, this is really lovely. You know, that kind of thing. And you know, we have people who, let's be real. You wouldn't bring out your dirty lineage in the public. Like if my real self, if I wasn't on, if I was on Instagram live, I am just laid back Saturday evening doing my own thing. I'm not going to look like this. Hello, I'm going to probably be on, you know, let me not just tell
My
anybody.
hairnet. Today
My
is
hairnets,
Saturday.
my bonnets on Saturday, you know, I wouldn't be bothered, you know, but when it comes to social media, you want to bring out your best place for. So social media actually shakes and questions their validation a lot. And because they begin to see people liking a particular person, and they begin to wonder, is there anything wrong with me? So also social media would also, you know, would foster cyberbullying, comparison. So you begin to compare yourself with another person. So you begin to have things like, am I good enough? Look at what this person is wearing. Why can't I have it? You look at, say, this teenager is so lucky, traveling everywhere with her parents or his parents. And look at me, I've not even gone past my bus stop. So all those things, it brings the image right before you. And so it makes you begin to second guess yourself, begin to doubt yourself. You begin to have this fear of missing out because you think life is just, these people are just going. So you begin to feel exclusive. There must be something wrong with me. There must be something wrong with me. Or maybe you see a picture where some people were invited for a birthday party, you were not invited. You begin to wonder that, oh, why did they not invite me? If you were not on social media, you wouldn't know. You won't know the comparison. You'll be okay where you are. So I think teenagers were much more happier in the 80s than now, because a lot of them have a lot to deal with in terms of constantly asking themselves, am I good enough? Am I good enough? So I think that's one of the biggest problem that has caused this low self-esteem. The comparison pressure is high. Even for adults, we go through that comparison where we are seeing people, maybe classmates, former schoolmates, doing things. Obviously, if you've not learned the skill of managing people's success, there is a particular skill of learning to manage people's success, because at one time somebody will be better than you, and the issue is not even being somebody even better than you. The issue is you being better than what you were yesterday. And I think that is a mindset that should be taught, that every teenager should understand, that if you are not taught and trained before you go into social media, you would be surprised at what would come out of you because you are trying to join the rat race of
Mm.
I'm better than you. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. So how do words from parents, teachers, or peers, how does that shape a teen's self-image?
Hmm. That's very deep words. You know, I'm a faith-based person, so I will start by explaining how powerful words are. I feel that I feel like words are like powerful. Bible tells us that words that we speak are spirit and life. So words are like energy. With what you can create, with what you can destroy. So when it comes to self-esteem and when it comes to words, we see that a child's earliest self-esteem starts from 3 years, 4 years, around that age, they begin to want to, you know, show that tendency. It becomes full blown when they get into, early adolescence. So there is this inner voice everybody has, you know, that is actually, if you're asking me, Dr. Kenny, what do you mean by inner voice? That thing that is asking you to ask me what is inner voice is the inner voice. So everybody has that self-talk that happens and that goes on, that mono dialogue that goes on in your upper center there, where you just, and they are supposed to be protective for us. Unfortunately, because most of our caregivers, our parents, were not taught or they didn't know better, they began to say things and said words. So your inner talk, your inner critic or your self dialogue adopts the predominant voice you've heard growing
Mm.
up, such that I've met people that tell me I hear the voice of my head, the voice of my teacher in my head telling me that
Mm.
I can't make it. I hear the
Mm.
voice of my mom on my head telling me I'm good for nothing. And so
Oh
there may
my.
have been words that we say, parents say, out of anger, out of annoyance, or maybe words you didn't even know the gravity of what it would have been doing or what it's capable of doing to your teenager. You say such words, they adopt those words. So these words adopted, these words that are soaked into the subconscious begin to now direct actions, direct, because they begin to believe those words, and when they believe those words it becomes a stronghold that they cannot shift from. That's why a lot of people need this self-esteem talk, because it kind of helps them break down the wall, the block, the stronghold, the lies that have been built over the years that, oh, you cannot do this, you are not good in maths, forget about it. So you have it in your head even when you now meet a challenge where you know you can actually do this thing, because those words have been spoken over you, you have adopted it. So words are very powerful. Words shape the mindset of teenagers. Words influence, words direct. So when we speak words, know that those words we speak can form predominant thoughts that can either help your teenager go forward or just make them just self-sabotage. So words are really, really, really strong. And this is why we have to be very, very careful of
Mm.
what we speak, how we speak it. Sometimes it's not even what we say, it's how we say it. You can
Mm.
tell a teenager, shut up. I believe you can just tell a teenager, shut up. Or you're not serious, shut up. Those are words we just throw out. But there's a way you will say that, shut up, you're not serious. The teenager, because the mind, I don't know, maybe because we live in a broken world, we tend to pick only negative things.
Mm.
Our mind doesn't really pick positive things like that. We are just wired to pick negative things. That's why one of the successful habits of somebody who will be, really successful over these esteem issues is somebody who is able to, dominate over thoughts, dominate over words. So if you say, oh, you are not serious, come on, I believe you should have done better, you should do better than this. You know that a teenager who is already going through low self-esteem issues will just speak, you are not serious. That's, you are not serious is what will amplify on it. You are not serious, you are not serious, you are not serious, you are not serious. So they begin to believe it. After all, I'm not serious, I'm not serious, I'm a joke, I'm a this, I'm a that. They begin
Mm.
to build it. They begin to build it, especially teenagers that have a pessimistic mentality or personality. They react to natural feedback that are supposed to be natural. They react to it in a very negative way. so that you can't correct them, they can't receive compliment, they can't give compliment, they can't take rebuke. And all these are all traced down to the parents and what they say. So I know I'm talking around, around circles, but my point and what I really want us to understand is the impact of words that we say and how we say them. Either will
Mm.
injure our teenagers, will boost their esteem, or will cripple their esteem, and they would
Mm.
have to live off that wound, trauma for life. Some are still dealing with this right into their adulthood, where they are behaving in some certain ways. We see them in the marketplace, we see them in the workplace, and you're like, how does a human being behave like that? You'll be surprised that
Mm.
they have had wounds, and they are trying to, fight against those wounds that told them, oh, you will never make it. So they are overachieving. They are trying to work very hard because of a wound. Like I tell teenagers, it's one thing to want to do well because you hold yourself that. It's another thing that you want to do well because you are trying to prove a point.
Mm.
Those are two different things. If you're trying to prove a point, then it means that you can never get healed because you will always have to prove a point, and it's a very tireless circle.
Mm. Yeah, that point you mentioned is very, very, like, very key. Although the person will be getting accolades,
Yes.
right? And the person might not even know that they are doing it because of maybe what they experienced, like the trauma they experienced growing up, where they felt that they have to achieve things to gain love from people. So they become overachievers, getting awards and all that. And that's the way, getting the accolade is the way they fuel their ego. But that emptiness is still always there. The parents, we
Mm.
need to be careful about that.
Yeah.
Like, only when we always want to reward, we always want, we make the children perceive that is when they are doing well academically or in every area of their life. That's when we shower them love, and just, okay,
Mm.
maybe it's only when I do something I get the love.
Mm.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think finding that balance is quite important. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. And can you
Yeah.
give us an example of words that, like, innocently, that is common that people do say to their children and could really damage their self-esteem?
But it all depends on which side of the globe you are. Let me use the African globe first of all. Then maybe I can look for one that was commonly said here. Well, like I said, it's not even about the words. It's how you say the words, when you say the words. You understand? Because most of the things that most adults, when they get talking, when they begin to relay some of the things that have been spoken over them, you will discover that the words itself were not, it's not as if the words itself were really bad, but how it was said, when it was said. For example, a child comes in with a failed report, a report card that is bad. You know, those times, those down times that your children come in to you is the is one of the best way you can either boost their esteem for life or kill their esteem for life. They will never
Hmm.
forget those times when they were on the floor and they needed a word to spring them up. And the role we play as parents, caregivers, is very, very important. We can't even overemphasize that. So maybe a child comes in with a bad report card and you didn't say anything. You know what can be verbal or non verbal? You didn't say anything. You just kept quiet. That's enough. That's enough. The silence has already told the child that you were not impressed. Then words like stupid,
Hmm.
as simple as stupid, it's impregnated with so many negative emotions. Words like, why, what's wrong with you? Even if you keep saying
Hmm.
what's wrong with you, what's wrong with you, what's wrong with you, that child intensifies that word and begins to ask himself, what's wrong with me? I know that we have an accuser, an
Hmm.
adversary who is able to fill in the gap for you. They are just waiting. Most of the time we
Yeah,
blame the
you're
adversary.
breaking tables.
Where we blame the adversary that, oh, it's the no, 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 we do these things ourselves.
Hmm.
We do these things ourselves. That's why, and I'm not trying to push for perfection in parenting, because you can only parent as much as you know. That's why
Hmm.
we advocate for knowledge. Knowledge is increasing. So I
Hmm.
find myself even having talked to my girls sometimes, and maybe we had a little misunderstanding, which would always happen. They are teenagers already. I would have to ask them, okay, what did I say that really hurt you? I said this. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I didn't want to say it that way. I'm sorry. This was what I meant when I said this. I'm still insisting on what I said, but I'm giving it a new, a understanding, because I don't want them to go in future to go and see a counselor on my account, because I made them go there. Many of the patients we see today, what has caused their depression and anxiety and their mental health disorder as a result of words that, our parents sponsored into their head unknowingly. So I know, so we
mm,
need to be very careful. So silence is a word, action is a word, then the word itself. So if you didn't say anything, it's 1 degree. You made action by not saying anything is another second degree. You said it, you did it with an action, an attitude, in anger. You have really like pasted that thing into
mm,
the subconscious of that child. And that child will not forget, even if he forgot what you were, he will not forget how you said it, what it made them feel. Because any
mm,
correction you make that is not making the child better is counterproductive. So we need to
mm,
ask ourselves. So sometimes we need to cool off. And sometimes, we have to cool off. We ask ourselves, these things I'm saying or this action I'm doing, is there a better way I can actually present this thing? And I know some people feel that, oh, no, 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 we have to be very hard on these children. Yes, there's a place for being strict, but there's a thin line between destroying with words and, building your child up with your own words as well. So when you
mm,
keep telling the child you are stupid, what's wrong with you? How can you do this? You don't always do this right. That child is internalizing everything you are saying. The
mm,
child is internalized, and it's not even what you even say to the child. What you also say to other people that the child is witnessing to is another thing. So what you say to
mm,
your spouse too when you guys are having issues also is what the child will also mimic and drink from you, because you are we are actually rearing or bringing up children after our likeness.
mhm,
So you will
mhm,
discover that there are certain ways you behave that your mom's sisters might say, this is how your mom used to behave when she was young. So these things
mm,
you learn by observation. It's by
mm,
osmosis. You just suck it in. There's certain things you don't have
mhm,
to be taught. It's osmosis and diffusion. If it happens like that, it happens like that psychologically. There are certain things you don't even teach children. They're in a negative, dysfunctional environment. They suck in negativity. They suck in dysfunctionality. And before you know it, they begin to lash it out. They begin to ooze it out like that. And,
mm,
that's how it gets and continue to multiply.
mhm,
So so any word spoken in anger is the same as a simple word. Any word that if it's spoken in anger, it does the same damage as a negative word. So you can say, oh, I don't say anything negative to my children. But the shouting you are doing, the big shouting, what is wrong with you? Every time you want to kill me, am I the only one? That's enough. So we have to learn how to manage our own anger.
emotions. Mm,
Yes, we have to manage, because this is where the root of self-esteem comes from. Because our adversary will say, since I cannot really mess them up, they are prayerful. Let me turn them against themselves. Let me
mm,
turn them against themselves. And so it just
mm,
is a field day for them. And so this what becomes strongholds. And strongholds, you know, are lies that has been believed by the individual that has stayed there for a long time. So the spirit responsible for all those things come and empowers that word. That's why some people, apart from apart from counseling, they might also need some kind of deliverance, because the words have become so powerful. They can't see
mm,
themselves. I met a man, a grown-up adult man. He still hears his mother's voice in his head
from,
telling him that you will never do well. He did something wrong, so he was a very naughty child. So those are things we have to say. And parent, I don't know, maybe we will still talk about this, because we make a lot of mistakes by not understanding the personality of our children. Some children are very, extroverted. If you're not careful, you will label that child wrongly. And because you don't know your child, you don't know the kind of child God gave to you will want that child to conform to what you think the child should be. In that process, you are breaking that child. So because you want that child to become what you think it should be, you use words to break that child. I know there are some places where they don't use, beating anymore, but it's even better if you even beat the child, because the words are doing much damage as much as what the beating will do as well. Some people open their mouth and call their children, you fool. It's
Mm.
really it's deep. It's really very deep because when they're angry, you just built a monster with your words, with what you said, with your mouth. So it's a wonderful thing that you are doing, Dr. Tony, able to come into this space to help people because some people will need to go for serious counseling and CBTs to be able to and deliverances to be able to help them with the words. And we thank God that there's always a way out. There's always a way out to these things. So this is not a prophecy of doom. There's always a way out. So no matter how deep the cause has been, no matter how deep the dysfunctional words has been, we have the word of God that kind of recalibrates our brain so that it rewires and tames the inner critic, because the inner critic is a very strong voice. And when it's now empowered by the devil, you begin to hear people start saying things they did not hear. They see a group of people talking, they think they are talking about them. They see people laughing, they are laughing about me. You now go and
Mm-hmm.
get married into a relationship. You see, the marriage is already dead on arrival. You see where it started from. So
Mm-hmm.
it's already
Mm-hmm.
dead on arrival. So the man can't laugh, the lady can't do anything. You are trying to, you are not submissive, or you are not loving me as this thing is really deep. It's really deep.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
Oh,
that's
but
one of the reasons. That's my major reason for starting this initiative about self-esteem, because I know it really cuts so deep. And
yeah.
unfortunate thing about it is that people are not aware. If people are shying away from it, when
Mm,
somebody has low self-esteem, people see it as very derogatory. But the truth
mm,
about it is that a lot of people suffer from, and it's really very glaring at their everyday life and
yeah.
transaction.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for really letting us to know that our children mirror what we do. That's how we see sometimes some children when they go to school, their teacher will call, oh, the child is saying this, and it's just what they, they heard from home. That that's saying to another child, and they feel it's
Exactly.
normal. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely. Thank you so much. So, what are teenagers today? Are they tying their worth to too much likes or grades or approval?
Yeah. They are, and I won't blame them. I won't blame them. They are, which is wrong. And I will address the two culprits in this situation. First of all, the people who are causing this to happen in the first place. And secondly, the teenagers who are making it happen to themselves. The first will be the parent, the teachers, this education system. Thank God it's changing now. Thank God it's changing now. In those days where we came, when we were growing, we had this system where you have first, second, third. So woe betide you. You didn't carry first, you didn't carry second, you didn't carry third. In some homes, you are toast. Womalu, they will beat. I'm telling you. And even now, because my mom is an educator, she has a secondary school. And I've been in end of the year ceremony where they are calling prize giving day. You will begin to see the low self-esteem display in 3D when you see parents just getting sad because their children were not called to come and collect prize. You understand? And the way whoever is announcing the prize, the way they go about announcing it, you're already setting up your system, setting up the school environment. You're setting it up to breed low self-esteem. A situation where because somebody is good academically, now takes dominance over those who might not be academically good, quote and unquote, but they are maybe good debaters, maybe they are good innovators, maybe they are good social uh, makers, they are good cookers, they do well in other things. So we now make the mathematics guru, we even make them head boy because we feel that because they are academically sound, they academically sound for it. So the way we rate success has to be redefined. So this is one of the things that teachers, parents are doing that makes it difficult for teenagers to be themselves. So because of that, they're under pressure. There's so much
Mm.
comparison. They want to beat the system. They want to be liked because these people want to be liked. They want to be liked. They want to. So some of them are ready to do anything to be liked because If they find love in their friend group, they want to do everything to be in that their friend group. And mind you, you are no more the most important person to a teenager. Once that child becomes 13, 14, you parent, you're no longer the most important person. Sorry. Who becomes the most important person? Their friends. So if you are wise, you will better pray that their friends become the godly friends. I have prayed some prayers, and God has helped me. There's sometimes I destroy some friendship on
Don't
my
break my
knees.
heart.
I'm telling you, prophetic parenting. I will destroy it on my knees because I know what can happen. But blessed are you if their friend groups are people with the same value system. It just makes the work easier. So going back to your question, teenagers are, there's a lot of pressure on them to want to, be preferred because of what the system does. And the way we have defined success, we need to redefine what success is. I think success should be more on the process of them getting into that thing than the destination. Even the God we serve, Abba, is more interested in the process than the destination. It's more interested in who you are becoming in the process than in the destination. So some of us, we put too much focus on you must have 100 and 100. And we've forgotten the effort that child has put. You see that child every day reading. You see that child every day making effort to cook that food. Even if this food does not come out sweet, you saw the effort he was trying. They appreciate and celebrate the process. Having said that, also allow them make their mistakes. Be that guardian that would allow them make their mistake, not a mistake that will kill them, but mistakes that they can learn from, and let them know that it's okay. Let's redefine what failure is too. I know it's hard for African parents to accept this, but we have to. Let's redefine what's failure. Failures are feedbacks. They are just feedbacks. We need to normalize it. I'm not saying you should pray that, oh, nobody prays that anybody fails, but I hope you understand the context where I'm coming from. Normalize it. This child did not meet up to expectation, but you saw the effort. Okay, maybe the effort was really very poor. How can you constructively bring that child to your side so that you can now collaborate with that child towards the goal? And the emphasis should not be, look at your mates. That's another thing parents say, look at your mates. Look at your mates. Your mates are doing this. That's why some people, older kids are even stealing, doing all kind of things just because they want to prove a point. So when we are trying to compare your interest should be, what percentage did this child have this term? This child had 75%. Oh, okay. I wish he had 100%. But last term, this child had 40%. Look at 40, see 75. That is a big leap, a big jump. So instead of you concentrating your head, my friend's neighbor, because the truth of the matter is that the mother or the father is also having low self-esteem. That's why they are feeling low and angry, upset that like my dad's child took first position. You didn't take first position. Do you have coconut head? You understand? That kind of as if and we parents, we have to be real with our teenagers, Tell them your own failure story too.
Please tell
We don't
them.
have our own share.
Yeah.
Tell them. Let them see, first hand and personal. And we should stop pretending and say, when I was young, I used to carry first position. I never failed any exam. It's a lie. It's a lie. So those are the things, my sister. It's really deep, but
Yeah,
it's
I
something we
can
have
really
to talk
resonate.
about.
Yeah, I can resonate with what you're saying. I've heard stories of people who, because of that kind of ways they perceive academic excellence, how they would go and like get TPEX. Those days where it was like paper reports. Now, like here where I am is online. Like, and then back home, paper report. They will get TPEX. They will change it. They will do also just to create that facade that they did well.
Then they
Maybe
did
maybe they
well.
were the third year, they would remove the zero
Remove
and
the zero
put
and make
thought.
it 3.
So we are not doing ourselves a favor, like I mean, as parents, if we want to build a perfectionist child, they will only end up. We will just end up building a successful child who is hiding, who is very good with deception, who is always good with putting out the best appearance. Meanwhile, they are struggling. So we can do better as parents. And I remember when you talk about normalizing failure. In fact, I have a post on that on my social media where I remember my son. There was a time maybe when it just got to like I think grade 7 or grade 8. So it was good in science, but this time around it was is practical, wasn't really like up to par, and then he would hide he would hide this stuff, and then one day I'm like, okay, this is a new thing for you, right? Let's look at it together. I realized that, oh, I think he wasn't as good as in practical than as in like the theoretical part where you have to read and write and all that. And when I told him, do you know that I've failed before? Oh my God. If you need to see that side, that deep sigh of relief. Like, mommy, you failed before? I never knew. I'm like, oh my God. I'm sorry that I have to tell, like, I'm sorry that I never shared my failure, because I thought I was kind of encouraged them. Oh, I've passed my exam. I've passed my exam. Did not see that other side of me when I was disappointed and I failed. And I said, failure is part of life, right? You just, what are you learning? Okay, let's go through this together. What are the mistakes you've learned from it? How can we do better? Okay. And just about, you cannot be good at everything, right? So, but the areas that you're struggling, at least put more effort and get the best you can at that in that area. Your best might not be 100% like every other person, but if your best is like 75, 80, then that's okay, right? And that was a game changer. In the end, by the time they come in, like of course it was still a bit, and then I told the dad, who was also good with that, kind of put him through. Genuinely, it didn't really need, to be honest. But imagine I said, oh, you don't always study, you don't always do this, you know. By the time we now put him through and all that, in the end, he still passed that course very well and even got an A. But that moment was a game changer where I showed genuine concern and I normalized failure. And I told them, don't always hide your script. When you don't hide it when you don't pass. Bring it up. Let's see where you have learned.
Just to add to what you're saying too. I know, yes, we are trying to say normalize failure and encourage them, know that there's also an extreme too that we must say, where parents, especially in this side of the world, where they like, oh, it's okay, you did so well, and the child is not trying. The child is not even trying. So there's a thin line between telling the child, praising that child, encouraging that child, and also telling the child what's on ground and how the child has to really grind the work and do his own bit. So we need to know that side, because any of the two will still cause low self-esteem. Because that child that you have over pampered, oh, it's okay, hey, Jimmy, you did so well, proud of you. Proud of what? The child is not trying, he's not reading, he's not doing anything. You are building a child with also low self-esteem, who will think the world revolves around him or her, who will be full of entitlement mentality, will show up in the world like everybody has to, lick his leg. And that's a side of another dimension, another face of low self-esteem that happens a lot, where you think, oh, this person is really confident. It's a lie. Underneath that facade of confidence, it's an empty person, very, very empty, who thinks the world revolves around them.
Yeah, I really appreciate that, striking that balance, because some people just take one aspect and then they run with it. So like striking the balance is very important between permissive parenting and being so authoritative. So striking that balance is very important, because I've seen parents are funny, especially in this part of the world. They want the family teacher to do everything. I've seen a parent who had brought a child that was, oh, this child can't sleep, and by the time we prove for that, guess what the child does overnight? Video games. I'm like, what am I supposed to do with a child who is playing video games? Can't you just like do some restriction, boundary setting, and wants me to give medication? Like, so like setting that boundaries, like you said, the process is very important. Even if they feel like putting structures in place to help them get better, not just say, oh, it's okay, and just go and relax. So yeah, thank you so for that.